Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Osil and I am going to give you a declutter video today. So I've already made part 1 of this tiny series. I decluttered all the rest of my makeup. Today we're talking about eyeshadow. And I do have a little introduction in my part 1 video. So if you want to know a little bit about the background and why I'm doing things the way I do and what my thoughts are behind this declutter, I will advise you to go ahead and watch my part 1 of this series. But I'm just going to go straight into this. We're talking eyeshadows today. Now, I will say that I'm not going to declutter my eyeshadow palettes today. I've gone through them all. I've sat here and looked at them, and I know that I want to keep all of these. So I'm sorry if I disappoint you and you thought that you were going to come to watch a video of someone decluttering like 90% of her makeup, but that's not me. I've been focusing on my eyeshadow singles this year, and that's really where I want to make an improvement. Not huge, but I feel like there are eyeshadows I can get rid of. I've had a Pan Those Eyeshadows project pan this year where I have only focused on my single eyeshadows and just gone through them and see which ones are working for me and which ones are not. What I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly go through and tell you what eyeshadow palettes I have. I'm going to put them up in this area here, and then I'm going to pull out my single eyeshadows and swatch them and compare them to my eyeshadow palettes and see which ones I can get rid of. I think I'm going to just start out with my Tati palette. Tati Beauty Volume 1 Textured Neutrals, I think is the name. And this is a beautiful neutral eyeshadow palette. Not one I typically tend to grab for a lot, but I do really enjoy this. Enjoy to have this in my collection. And then we have my other huge palette, which is probably my all-time favorite palette. Maybe at least in my top 3. I have a ranking video on my eyeshadow palettes from a year or 2 back, but I've since then purchased a few more eyeshadow palettes, so I might do another one of those in the future. But this is the ColourPop in collaboration with Kathleen Light's the So Jaded palette. This is getting older, I would say, but I was late to the game. I absolutely love this eyeshadow palette, and I've gotten so much good use out of it. It has such a variety of shades. Like, no matter what kind of look I want, I can always grab for this, really. Another pretty big palette I have. Luckily, I don't have too many huge palettes because that's not my jam anymore. I do like more smaller palettes, not more than 10 eyeshadows. But I got the W7 My Atlantis palette, which is a dupe for the Rose Quartz palette from Huda Beauty, I think. Yeah, this is a very, very beautiful palette. I love this. And then I have the Huda Beauty New Nude palette. This is also getting older, but I absolutely love this one too. One of my favorite palettes. I love these tones of like mauves and a little bit of taupe as well. That's like my favorite. Taupes and mauves are my favorites. And then I'm going to put away these Inglot shades because those are the ones I consider to be singles. So I'm going to put them in my single eyeshadow pile. I've also got a Z palette, another Inglot palette, and another one. So yeah, lots of, also in here I have singles in this little e.l.f. Elements quad. I've got the Smitten in Switzerland from BH Cosmetics, also one of my favorite palettes. So pretty. I kind of tend to grab for this more in the fall time, but it really is an all over, like all year long palette. Whereas this one is more of a spring palette. This is the Pastels palette from Beauty Bay. Such a lovely pastel eyeshadow palette. Then I have my You Had Me at Hello from ColourPop. This is also a really nice, one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes as well. I really have only palettes I absolutely love now, except from one that I really don't know quite how I feel about. That is this one right here. This is the Guerlain eyeshadow palette and Golden Bee. So this is a hand-me-down because it wasn't really working out for my sister, but it's a very expensive brand, and so she wanted me to try it. I have only like experimented with this for a couple of weeks, but so far I'm not very impressed. Like, the shades are beautiful, but the pigmentation and the quality is probably one of the worst that I've ever tried, which is a shame. So I'll put this Natasha Denona little 5-pan palette in the shade, in the name Mini Retro. Such a beautiful little palette. Yeah, I really want to try more from Natasha Denona, but it's quite expensive, so probably not going to happen just yet. Then I have this Makeup Mecca Punk palette that I really enjoy. Lots of nice, like, bronzy tones and browns, as well as this Bright Matte palette from Beauty Bay. Also really, really pretty. I really like that I have this palette to sort of choose from when it comes to colors. I like that I have that color variety. Then I have my Milani Most Loved Mattes. Beautiful matte palette. Love these shades as well. The quality is amazing on this. Absolutely love it. I'm gonna put this little 6-pan palette here as well. This is from Essence. It's called I Like to Move It, Move It. I don't really love this palette, but I'm kind of making it work. I do like some of the shades, but the quality on the metallics is just not great. I love the matte ones though. Alright, next we have my Norvina palette from Anastasia. I like this one, I just don't love that it has so much fallout. But other than that, I love the shades. Then we have my newest purchase from the ColourPop, the Child palette. This is a beautiful green palette that I really, really enjoy. I just like to have it all open to see and to be able to swatch everything I want to swatch. I also have a tiny ColourPop palette which is called Take Me Home. Just a nice travel palette in these nice warm browns and gold tones. So I have all my ColourPop palettes right there. And then lastly, for palettes, I have this tiny quad from Viseart. It is called Petites Force Lilas. So this is just a gorgeous little taupey palette, and I love, love, love this. And now I think you can see all of my actual palettes. I don't think I've forgotten any. Actually, I forgot about this one palette I have from Beauty Act called Nude Mania Eyeshadow Quad. It's a beautiful neutral quad that I really like, that I totally forgot about. So therefore I have 19 eyeshadow palettes, and that is also cruelty-free. But I do have so many singles. I'm gonna have to put them out somewhere, but you can't really see them. I wish you could have seen them. Yeah, well, that's okay. I'm gonna try to make it work somehow anyways. I think I'm gonna start with the easiest category, and the area I know for a fact is gonna be easier to declutter things. That is all my cream eyeshadows and like liquid shadows and sticks and stuff. I have, let's see, I have 3, 6, 7, 8 of those, and I'll tell you right off the bat, I'm gonna declutter these 3 from Makeup Mecca. They're called Shadow Goals. I've got one in Goldie, and then Romantic Mauve and Seashell. I don't really like any of these. I don't grab for these. They're fairly newer, so I might just give them away to someone who might like them better or more than me. Stila has something similar to this, which is a lot better, I feel like, but these are gonna go. I have two white chubby sticks. They're both gonna stay. They're exactly the same product. One is more used than the other, but I really like these. They're from Cherry Culture, which is a brand that doesn't even exist anymore. These are so old, but they're creamy and nice, and I love them for mainly for Halloween makeup, but I use them all year round for like eyeshadow bases, and yeah, just anytime I need something creamy white, I grab for these, so I love them, and I'm gonna keep those. Then I have the Beauty Act Stay On Color Cream Stick in Gopher Green. This is probably my newest purchase when it comes to cream shadow, and it's such a beautiful green. And I'm definitely going to keep this one. This other eyeshadow is from Laura Mercier. This is a beautiful caviar stick in rose gold. Beautiful shade to put in the inner corner as a highlight, and I really like this one. So I'm going to keep that one as well. And then we have the e.l.f. No Budge Shadow Stick in Champagne Crystal or Crystal Champagne. It's kind of similar to the Laura Mercier one, but I prefer the Laura Mercier over this e.l.f. one, and I have to be honest, I don't really like the e.l.f. shadow sticks. I think they're overhyped from my experience. It's not great. It's flaky and dry, and I don't like it. So I'm going to declutter that one as well. So yeah, I'm keeping these 4 cream sticks, and I'm very happy about that. By the way, these 3 are cruelty free, and this one is not, from Laura Mercier. So in 2014, I had 12 chubby sticks for the eyes, and now I have 4. That's pretty good. This is the part where I need to figure out what single eyeshadows I need to let go of and which ones to keep. I totally forgot I have a cream eyeshadow in a pot form as well. This I'm going to keep. It's from Charlotte Tilbury. It's called the Eyes to Mesmerize in the shade Pillow Talk. I think this is a nice eyeshadow. It's just not worth the money. It's good. I have nothing bad to say about it, but it's just too expensive. I feel like it's a little bit underwhelming compared to, like, I can get a really nice cream eyeshadow that is so much more affordable than this, but it is beautiful though. I do like it. So I'm going to keep that one. I actually have this Glacial Loose eyeshadow pigment in G1. This is a beautiful shade, but I recently learned that if a loose eyeshadow or a loose like makeup product contains titanium dioxide, that's not very good for you. So for my health, I'm gonna get rid of this, but it is a gorgeous, gorgeous eyeshadow, but I need to get rid of it because it scares me with these bad ingredients. Alright, so then I have 3 eyeshadows from ColourPop, the Super Shock shadows. I have Party of 5, Ritz, and Prickly Pear. And just because these are pretty new, I want to keep all of them, but I will say they're not my favorite kinds of eyeshadows. I just have to remind myself that I'm not going to purchase any Super Shock shadows because they have fallout, they are not as creamy as you would think. They're creamy for like a week and then they dry out very, very fast from my experience. But I've hit pan on all of these. I'm happy. Like, if you want to see, maybe I should swatch these two. We've got Party of 5, a really pretty shade. Prickly Pear, which is very similar to Luna from Makeup Geek actually, but Luna is so much prettier than this one and so much better, like better quality. And then we have Ritz, which is a very pretty shade, I will say, but again, it's just they're not my favorite formula. Oh, and they're so sparkly. Glitter comes everywhere. I shouldn't have swatched those first because now I'm all glittery. I have this light blue shade from Inglot. 480 is the name. I have nothing like this in my collection. All the other blues are darker or more matte. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep this one. This is number 338. This is like a beautiful matte jade from Inglot. I feel like the only jade shade I have is probably this shade in the So Jaded palette. Oh gosh, they're very similar. They are very, very similar, okay? So the only reason I would have to keep this really is if I would like to, if I wanted to take it like traveling or something, because it's really so much easier to put this in a Z palette than to bring the whole So Jaded palette. And because the So Jaded palette is so big, it's not very travel friendly. So I think I'm going to keep this color for that reason, at least for now. Yeah. This is a trio in 109 from Inglot, and this is a beautiful green trio. I did some swatching in my review of the child palette that I got because I needed to figure out what kinds of greens I had, and it turns out I have more like foresty greens, so this was a really nice complement in my makeup collection. I have nothing like this though. Some here are similar, but I have nothing that's exactly like this, and I have had it in my project pan to figure out if I really liked using this, and I did. I do. So I'm gonna keep this one as well. I also have a yellow shade from Inglot, 103, and I absolutely love this. This is also a trio. I have a pastel yellow and I have this very strong mustardy yellow in the Beauty Bay palette, and then this yellow, but I love having this as something I could just put in a Z palette as well. So I'm going to keep this one too. I know I'm not doing great here, but the point isn't to get rid of things I'm going to regret and things that I do use. The point is to get rid of things that is just neglected and never gets used or, in my collection. Alright, so I do have two eyeshadows here that are kind of similar. The Inglot 395 and the Blowfish from ColourPop. These are both very pretty. Let me just put this down for a second. And I tend to put them in my inner corners. I do find this being like irritate me or irritate my eyes a little bit, and they are very similar, so for that reason I'm gonna declutter this one and I'm gonna keep Blowfish. Then I have two other pretty similar eyeshadows, the Nabla Ground State and H&M Award Season, I think. Yes, Award Season. These are the kinds of like purples I absolutely love to wear on my eyes. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep both of these. I feel like the only place I have something similar in a palette is this palette that, if you remember, I don't love. I also have it in the Guerlain palette, but I don't love that palette either. So I feel like I want to keep both of these, even though they are very similar. I really like them both. Alright, next I have this single eyeshadow in M8 Makeup, and the color name is Doms. It's a pitch black eyeshadow. It's really nice, but it's so old and it's starting to get hard pan. And I do have a really black eyeshadow in my Tati palette. Do I have other eyeshadows that are, that's the only black one I have. This is pretty black, but it's not like pitch black. But I think that works for me. I don't use much black eyeshadow, so I think I'm going to get rid of this one. Alright, next we have a micro shadow in the color named Ruby from Makeup Store. This is one of my favorite eyeshadows. I really love this warm, corally orange shade. But I also see that I have some oranges, or like, yeah, oranges in the Tati eyeshadow palette that is kind of similar. I feel like they're similar enough. I also have this kind of orange, but it's not the same. I also have some warmer orangey shades in my So Jaded palette. I've got it like a pastel orange, another more matte orange, but I feel like the orange that are in my Tati palette is the one that's the most similar. I just feel like I used to use this a lot, but I haven't really used this a whole lot this year, and I'm a little bit over it now. And I know that if I want to have a look with this kind of shade, I could just go for the oranges I have in my Tati palette. So I think it's time to let this go. I really enjoy these micro shadows from Makeup Store though. They have really good quality and good pigmentation and a great color variety as well. I'm sad to see this go, but I think it's time. Next we have probably like one of my oldest eyeshadows. There's no way I'm gonna part with this. This is Cocoa Bear from Makeup Geek. I know she has changed this shade name after releasing this, and I also know like Makeup Geek is no longer a brand anymore, but this is a very unique matte brown shade that I absolutely love. This is so pretty, really nice on blue eyes. It kind of makes the blue eyes pop a little bit because of the warmth it has, and I have nothing like this eyeshadow. I have so many brown eyeshadows that are similar but not exact, and they don't do the same, they don't give the same effect as this one. So this is definitely a keeper. Another shade I know I'm gonna keep is Makeup Geek Luna. It has become like 2023's most loved eyeshadow. I absolutely love this. It's so pretty, and I'm so glad I pushed myself to use this a little bit more and learn to love it, because it's so amazing. So this is definitely a keeper. It's so old, by the way, but it performs just as good as when it was new. Alright, next we have two matte purples. One is Unexpected from Makeup Geek, and the other one is from, I did putted this from Entaupe's, the Zoeva Entaupe eyeshadow palette. So this one is a little bit darker than this one. I do feel like I want to keep both of these because these are exactly like these are one of my favorite shades to wear. Yeah, let me just swatch these. So we have Unexpected. This is a very light shade, but it's beautiful if you ask me. And then we have the one from Zoeva. Really love those two eyeshadows. Let me try this one from the Huda Beauty eyeshadow palette. I think that is a very similar shade, but as you can see, they're not dupes or anything. And then I think this is too dark, and it's also a little bit too like purpley. And then we have this one. This is a lot darker, but it's kind of the same tone. And this is probably way too light. No, it's very similar actually. It is very similar to the Unexpected shade from Makeup Geek, but still, it's just, I really enjoy these two shades. I use them all the time. As you can see, I've hit pan on both of these. They're just great shades to have in my collection for me. And even though they're old, they're so old, they perform well, and I still reach for these. So I'm gonna keep both of them. Next, we got 296 from Inglot. This is a straight up matte red shade. I absolutely love this shade. I was so surprised that I loved it as much as I did when I rolled it into my project pan. I have something similar, but this is a little bit more wearable, I feel like. So I'm gonna keep this for sure. Then I have a 318 matte white shade from Inglot. That's very convenient and practical to have. But I do have this white shade in my Beauty Bay palette, and I think I like that one a little bit better. It's, yeah. So I'm going to get rid of this one actually. Next, I have a silver shade 151 from Inglot. The only like silver I have is in this palette, and this is not a good silver. It's very bad. This is kind of a silver, but they're very different. So I have decided to keep this one as well. It is a very good, like, super pigmented eyeshadow that I don't really wrap for very often, but I think it's good to have in my collection. So yeah, it's a keep. Number 605, this coppery shade from Inglot. Let me swatch this. This is a beautiful eyeshadow to have, so I definitely want to keep it if I don't have anything like this. This is way too light. This is too dark and purpley. I do have this one, but again, this is most likely going to be a palette I'm going to declutter sooner rather than later. So this is probably the most similar, I would say, but this has just way better quality, and yeah, I'm gonna keep this one. All right, next we have this metallic pink 431, and I was surprised that I really enjoyed this shade as much as I did, because it's not a typical pink shade I reach for. But I did really like it when I rolled it into my project pan. So let's see. Yeah, I don't have anything like exactly like this. I have a few pinks to choose from, but not a whole lot. So I'm going to keep this one as well. Next we have 606, a bronzy shade from Inglot. Also a kind of shade I really enjoy having in my collection. I do think I have a few shades that are similar to this. So pretty. This is maybe pretty similar. This one as well is pretty similar. Not quite, but I do have a lot of eyeshadows that are fairly similar to this eyeshadow. Oh, this was really more orange than I remember. Maybe kind of like the one I decluttered from Makeup Store. Interesting. Maybe I should get rid of this because I have several. Let's see, I have the So Jaded and the Tati. Those are not very travel friendly though. No, I want to keep this one too. I'm sorry guys. I know looks like it has a little bit of a, it's not really a hard pan. I don't know what it is, but it still performs really nice. It's so pigmented, buttery, creamy, beautiful. So I think I'm gonna keep this. All right, I also have this gold shade in 155. I've been working on this all year, and I feel like as of now this is my favorite gold in my collection. So I don't think I'm going to get rid of this. But they're not like the same. I really like that gold yellow hue to the gold. That's so pretty. But I do have a few gold shades here. That's really pretty too. And I know I have to get rid of this at some point because it is getting really old. But gosh, this is so difficult. Oh, see? The pigment is not there at all. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this. So I've been debating on whether or not to keep both of these like matte cream shades in my collection. I've got the Wet n Wild Creme Brulee and then Inglot 353. This is difficult. I do have a cream shade in here and 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 here and this palette and this palette, and I was gonna say that I want to keep both of these, but really I don't need all of these cream shades. Okay, so basically this is a lot older than this one, but this is a lot creamier. I thought that this was going to be a lot creamier because that's how I remembered it, but this really is creamier than this one. I feel like this one has hard pan on it, so maybe it's just because of that. They are very similar. I actually think I'm going to keep this one over my Wet n Wild. It's a little bit, it feels chalkier, but the pigment is still better. So, okay, so I'm keeping the Inglot. I'm going to get rid of the Wet n Wild. That was surprising. Then I have all of these taupe shades. And taupe is, like I said, taupes and mauves are my favorites to put on my eyes. So I know that it's okay to keep them if I really want to, but let me just see here. So this is Homecoming from Makeup Geek. Again, an older shadow, but a really nice one. And then Inglot 153. This is so pretty. This has more of a silver to it, and I really like that. We have Wet n Wild Brulee, which is also beautiful. I do really like this one over Homecoming. I do have a lot of taupes in here as well. Okay, so we have the Viseart taupe. Oh my god, look at that. This is like a silvery taupe again. And we have different sort of taupes in here. Is this a taupe? This is like a silvery taupe. Oh gosh, they're so pretty. This is more of a silvery taupe, or not even really a taupe, but yeah. And then this one is, I don't know where to categorize these ones. They're so pretty. I would also say that this is sort of a taupey shade. This is sort of a taupey shade. I think that's about it. These two maybe should be included. So I do have some variety when it comes to taupes. More silvery, cooler ones, a little bit more of a warmer taupe, if you can even say that, like a brownie taupe. I think actually these two are like some of my favorite ones. I think I'm gonna get rid of Homecoming. I think it's just my least favorite basically, so I'm gonna keep these two and get rid of Makeup Geek Homecoming. Next we have more of these purpley shades. I've got MAC, this is called Satin Taupe, so this is kind of a purpley taupe shade, and then we have this one which is kind of similar, 452 from Inglot, and then we have a matte version $2.97. Let's swatch satin taupe. This is on the taupey side. It's beautiful, but it does have like a purple hue to it. And then we have the metallic inglot one, which is more of a purple. And then we have the matte one, which is a gorgeous matte purple. Let me see. We have this one, which is very similar, I feel like, to, well, they're not exactly similar, but they're in the same like category, I would say. Let me see, maybe this one. This one. Oh yeah, that's very similar, actually. Let's see, this one maybe? Okay, that's very similar too. What about this one? Is this way too dark? Yeah, probably. Yeah, way too dark. Then we have this one, which is also way too dark. We have this one. This purple, but this is just not in the same tone of purple. This is very unique in my collection. I feel like I don't have anything that looks like satin taupe, so I'm gonna keep this one. And then I also have these two. I feel like I have a lot of colors that looks like this shade, but at the same time I've really enjoyed having it in my Z palette. And then this one, I do have a few that can be a substitute for this one, so I don't feel like it's not my favorite color either. I feel like it has lost a little bit of pigmentation too. I feel like even though it doesn't really look like it on the swatches, I feel like it's more reasonable for me to get rid of this one rather than this one. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, these ones are sort of all in the same category. They're all like matte taupey shades. Maybe this one isn't. If we start with this one, this is probably the closest dupe, but again, it's really nice to have this kind of a shade in a Z palette, and they're also not dupes, by the way. That's so nice. Stoned. They are like cooler tone, dark shadows, but yeah, I want to keep this one. It's the darkest one. I can kind of deepen the look. Yeah, I like this one. I want to keep it. But then also, okay, by the way, hold on. What about this one? Yeah, they're not similar. Okay, never mind. I got this trio from Inglot. This is 117R is the name of this. And the thing is, oh gosh, they're so similar. Okay, that faux, this is Makeup Geek Faux Fur. And I feel like that one has the most like pigment. I love that shade. So I do feel like that's definitely a shade I'm gonna keep. Very similar. This is also, oh, it's kind of darker actually. And this is a really small, like travel friendly palette. So technically I could get rid of this 344 shade from Inglot. I know I have been using it a lot this year and I know I really enjoy it though. I'm gonna have to think about this. The last two eyeshadows I have to show you today are these two. They're kind of in a different category. This is more of a, well, this is also a taupe, to be honest, but this is like a silvery taupe. It's gorgeous. It's kind of in this category that this shade Mount Pilates is in, but it's just a lot lighter, and this is like one of my favorite single eyeshadows, so I'm definitely going to keep this one. It's from Hot Makeup, by the way. It's just called Marble Eyeshadow. beautiful. It's like a really inexpensive Swedish brand, but I really enjoy it. And it's cruelty free. And then we have the RMS Beauty Swift Shadow in Tempting Touch. A beautiful, like satiny brown shade. It's fairly new, but I do really like it. So I think I'm going to keep this. I can't really see anything super similar. Well, this is kind of similar, but no, I want to keep this one. All right, we are down to those matte taupes. I have to figure those ones out. That is so difficult to me. I do kind of have a dupe, kind of, within this shade, which is great because this is a small palette, so I could, that's like my only reasoning for keeping this, is that it's so travel friendly and it's nice to pair with all those other shades. Isn't this super similar? Hold on. I forget how they look. They are very similar. You know what? I'm going to get rid of this one. This is called 357 from Inglot. And then we are left with these two. I feel like I want to keep at least this one. Should I keep this one too? You know, I think I'm gonna get rid of this Trio 2 from Inglot 117R. It is also very, very old, and I do like the shade of this better. And I know that this darkest shade, I've kind of kept something similar, and now I'm keeping something similar to this one. This is not really something I need, this like lightest shade. Hopefully you can see me doing all of this. So yeah, I'm gonna keep the Faux Fur from Makeup Geek and get rid of that Trio. And then we have these ones left. I actually want to keep this one too, the 344 from Inglot, along with the Makeup Geek Faux Fur. And that is all of my single eyeshadows. Alright, these are all, except from the cream eyeshadows, these are all of the eyeshadows I decided to keep. That's perfect. I'm so happy about that. Yeah, I feel like I have a good variety. They're typical like favorite shades of mine, and also a few colors that I really think are fun. I decided to keep 5 cream shadows and 30 single eyeshadows. And then, hold on, I'm gonna put these back together and we'll organize my single eyeshadows in the end here. So hold on. By the way, so let's see, Busy Art is cruelty free, Essence is cruelty free, Colourpop is cruelty free, Milani is cruelty free, Beauty Bay is cruelty free, Mecca is cruelty free, W7 is cruelty free, Tati Beauty is cruelty free, again Colourpop is cruelty free, we have Huda Beauty is cruelty free, Anastasia Beverly Hills is cruelty free, BH Cosmetics is cruelty free, again Beauty Bay is cruelty free, Guerlain is not cruelty free, and Natasha Denona is cruelty free. So most of my eyeshadow palettes are cruelty free. So let's see, how many do I have now? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 eyeshadow palettes in my collection. So let me just show you the eyeshadows I decided to get rid of this time around. Alright, I'm actually pretty happy with this. I got rid of 14 eyeshadows. That's pretty good. Really happy with that, actually. So again, 30 eyeshadow singles, and I had 29 single eyeshadows in 2014. I had 19 palettes in 2014. And now I have 17. So out of the ones I kept, I do consider Inglot, Makeup Geek, RMS, Colourpop, Hot Makeup to be cruelty free. But MAC and H&M, oh, and Novel is cruelty free too. These two are not considered, for me at least, to be cruelty free. So I'm going to remove these single package eyeshadows, and I'm going to try to organize the ones that I have. I do feel like I want to divide them into two, like cooler toned eyeshadows and warmer toned eyeshadows. These ones in the middle could go both ways. They could work with both eyes, and also this one, I feel like this one works better with like gold shades. This, what would I typically, oh, so this one is so pretty, they're so pretty together. I feel like these could go well, I'm not sure. And what about this one? What would I typically put this one with? These are really pretty together. The green I would like to have either with the gold or the purples. The yellow I like to put with the gold as well as the jade shades. The red is kind of on its own a little bit, but these definitely go together. I feel like this is such a beautiful like inner corner eyeshadow. I think I'm going to put them like this, or maybe I should put these ones together as like a trio, and then these ones together as like a duo. And then I would just grab them to go with either one of the palettes I would make. This one definitely goes better with the warmer tones. I think this, I'm going to put this in this pile. So I have a bunch of these like palettes. I'm not sure which ones to use. You know, let me start with this one. This is what makes the most sense to me. I'm probably going to play around with these and mix them and match them together. But for now, I feel like this is going to be fun for me to play with. And these two palettes will probably be thrown together with these ones. Like this one would be fun with both these and these shades, and same with this one. That was my entire makeup collection declutter. Well, eyes for this part, but I'm so glad you followed along, and I hope you got something out of this. I hope you got inspired to look through your eyeshadows and maybe reorganize them, see how they work with other shades that you don't typically pair them with, and also see if there's something that you maybe want to pass on to someone else who might love them more and use them more than you. And maybe you will rediscover some favorites of yours in your collection. Nevertheless, I will thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!